The heroes are lying on the ground, defeated by the Demon Lord's castle gatekeeper. All 4 of them are unconscious. Although they're the strongest forces of their time, they couldn't even manage to get past the mid-tier boss. Yuki, the demon with a single horn on his head and a set of wings, looks upon them worried about their injuries. You see, Yuki was once a human before, but after he reincarnated into his new life, he received a cheat which made him a very overpowered demon. Stronger than the Demon Lord himself, you ask? Why, yes. Yes, he was. His motives as a demon reincarnation had not just been to seek demon dictatorship or to enjoy his power so much so that he just cause havoc like the old demon lords did before him. Rather, he just wished to assist heroes in taking down the current demons so that the world could become a better place. He's, in short, the good guy in the story. The bunch of 4 heroes that are before him are also the good guys. They can never be too many good guys in a story, ladies and gentlemen. Yuga is the one who leads the party and also has the holy sword Excalibur. Next is Mikana, a strong mage who has a thing for Yuga, and unfortunately for her, everyone knows this but him. Another one of these heroes is a handsome guy Raven, who obviously ticks Yuki off. Something about his chiseled face, mysterious aura is just unforgivable. And lastly, a pretty cleric they called Cecilia. The demon takes everyone down tactfully. Raven has a disappearing spell cast upon him, which throws everyone off in the beginning, exterminating Yuga on the spot and of course healing him after. He doesn't hold back with Mikana either, since she's pretty annoying to him as well. After seeing Cecilia, he softens his approach and knocking her out. He strikes from behind and lays her on the floor, but as he does, his eyes wander on her beautiful face, and he falls for her immediately. Although he plots to keep her with him, nothing seems like a viable option, so he just orders his 3 faithful subordinates to safely evacuate them outside the castle. Not long after, 30 days to be exact, all 4 of them come charging in again. Yuki keeps up with his evil persona and threatens to send them to hell. Yuga point blank asks for his name, and the demon flaunts his low rank with charisma. They engage in battle once more, but this time, the supposed evil demon gatekeeper keeps slipping and stumbling. He keeps glancing at Cecilia, which makes the leader of the heroes a little angry, as he's earnestly putting in the effort to defeat him. Yuki snaps out of it, and uses his ultimate dark magic spell on everyone. To nobody's surprise, the party of heroes is defeated effortlessly. The victor walks around to check everyone's state. Cecilia is seemingly unharmed. He assumes that he might have put a protective spell on her without him actively being aware. His subordinates come to pick up the healed heroes from nearby the forest, but this does not discourage the brave 4. They keep coming back over and over again. One night, Yuki gives his plan a thought again, as the Demon Lord becomes aware of the ones trying to come after him, and he assumes that they might be terribly weak to not have been able to reach him yet. However, it is only because of the gatekeeper that they had been halted all this time. The band of heroes walk towards the entrance again, and this time Yuki proposes to let Cecilia be kept behind in his custody so that they can reach the Demon Lord on their own. All of them refuse the offer except for the mage. She talks about defeating the Demon Lord first and then coming back to save her from the castle's gatekeeper. With apprehension, the 3 leave the cleric behind. Yuki blushes as he's finally alone in the same space as her, while she bravely readies herself to fight until she dies. The flustered demon tells her that his true intention has never been to kill, yet, on the contrary, he confesses his love to her, a valiant warrior fighting the battle of romance. Cecilia's face flushes red, and she immediately rejects him. Yuki plops on the ground, giving up his will to live as tears pool into his eyes. He is defeated by the hero for the first time ever. Cecilia still thinks that he's tricking her until she sees him slump and wallow in his sorrow while she's trying to land an attack on him. She asks why he's a strange acting demon, since they're typically very cruel. Yuki reveals his true identity and the life he lived as a human. He's also sadly discloses that he's been helping them all this time. The confused cleric asks why he wouldn't defeat the Demon Lord himself, but Yuki tells her that he did not want to take the throne in the first place. He gives up and tells her that he's going to be fine in the little castle entrance room after being rejected by her. The angelic, kind-hearted cleric worries about him now, unable to see him in such a miserable state. She extends her hand towards him and asks him to change his form to start his new life in the outside world. At the Royal Captain Minerva, the heroes are celebrated by everyone in a grand parade as they come back as victors from the Demon Lord's castle. Meanwhile, Yuki, after escaping from his duties, finds his way through Minerva using a map Cecilia's given him. Yuki, using his old name, signs up in the local guild, encountering Kryman, who looks like the person in charge. All the staff has to see the parade, which means more work for Kryman. He's got bags under his eyes and looking half dead already. Yuki, now more human-looking, formulates his next plan again, to make money by joining the guild and going on quests till he confesses love again to Cecilia. A week into joining, he already skyrockets himself to rank D. He likes Kryman better than any receptionist and keeps on bugging him for his daily rewards. One day, Cecilia walks into the guild, surprising everyone with her visit. The blushing Yuki is left speechless. The two reunite again, and sit into a carriage while they discuss the things that have happened in the meantime. He's surprised to know that he was found sooner than he expected, to which Cecilia responds that he didn't make the wisest decision by not changing his physical appearance or his name. Yuki remembers the pain he endured by breaking off his horn and ripping off his wings. The carriage stops and they arrive at a mansion. The two guards point their spears at Yuki and order him to stop, but Cecilia calms everyone down by informing him that he's a friend who's visiting. Yuki feels like perhaps he isn't good enough to be with his loved one. The treatment of the people around him makes him question his self-worth. They sit facing each other, and Cecilia asks for him to leave the guild. She explains how they might become too popular and could get hired by different nations. The high-ranking S-tier heroes are well sought after, and many nobles rope them in by offering their daughters' hands in marriage. Yuki flips and asks if she got any proposals, but he informs that she's rejected every single one. She further clarifies that upon leaving the guild, he can work for her personally, which would work well in his favor as he already has romantic feelings for her. He rejects the offer in his usual extravagant ways, and he tells her that he needs to pursue her properly and will be able to do so on his own terms and achievements. He tells her that his goal is not to work for other nations or become famous since he only has his eyes set upon her. She starts laughing at his antics and believes that only a human could be this funny. The meeting is called off, but before they go separate ways, he asks if he can address her by her first name and they agree on doing that. The next day, he confidently walks to the gate of her mansion, but ironically is stopped himself by the human gatekeepers. Oh, how the fate has changed. Dejected, he wanders into the city and spots the handsome-looking hero swordsman. He's surrounded by girls all around him and visibly looks exhausted. Yuki points into a direction away from the crowd and yells that he spotted the hero's leader. The crowd rushes in that direction and Yuki grabs Raven by the arm to make a run for it before the crowd gets back. They both stand in the alleyway, and even now, Raven does not utter a word, playing into his cool, mysterious persona. Yuki gets irritated again and proceeds to walk away to mind his own business. He is stopped, and the voice he hears behind him is nothing short of one belonging to an anime character. Yuki is baffled at the reality that he's observing with his own two eyes, and to be fair, his ears too. He gets to know that the silent cool guy is actually insecure of his voice and got bullied for it as a kid. The shy anime guy actually asks the former demon gatekeeper if he could become his friend. Only his mother and cousin did not laugh at his voice before, and now Yuki as well. The two formally introduce themselves. Not only does the hero swordsman have some depth to him, but he's insanely stupid since he's meeting his enemy with whom he had been fighting for months on end. Yuki feels happy on the inside. It was his first friend in his lifetime. Morning time at the Adventurers Guild is uneventful, as a simple sandwich is offered as breakfast for Yuki. A woman sits close to him and smiles as she sees him busy eating his food. She's beautiful, and reveals that she already knows him through her daughter. She's Celia Aquarian, mother of the love of his life. He gulps down all his breakfast in one go and stifles beside her, feeling incredibly shy. He panics and tries to hurry the conversation as he's curious to know why she's talking to him in the first place. She nonchalantly giggles as she sees him in this state. She apologizes for the rude behavior the guards had displayed earlier and expresses that she wants to get to know him better. She is aware of his feelings towards her daughter and puts it to test. She offers to head home to her mansion again, and Yuki does not hesitate. He observes that the guards have changed, and later as they walk through the main door, they are greeted by an A-tier adventurer who now works as a maid at their mansion. They spot Celia in her night clothes walking around, and she scurries back into her room, embarrassed to see Yuki looking at her in that state. The mother reveals that she has been eavesdropping on their conversation earlier, and tells him that Cecilia has already been receiving proposals, even from the hero Yuga. He is fueled by anger at this point and passionately describes his pursuit to her. Celia Aquarian offers her daughter's hand in marriage without prompt, but the demon boy Yuki refuses politely. He tells her that he's got to make a good living for himself first to be able to confess to her daughter again. This was a test and he passed. He has successfully gotten approval from the mother. Deep into the Orsal forest, now as a rank C adventurer, he searches diligently to find the cockatrice and slay it. He's been working harder since he's gotten to know that the hero is also after his beloved. Suddenly, he is ambushed by an armor-wearing demon with no head. He recognizes that this is one of his subordinates, the Duke of Dolahan. The Duke worries as they see Yuki in a bad state without horns and wings. They inform that the other two, Harpy Happiness and Pixie Chic, have been on the lookout for him too. Yuki is touched by their efforts. He did not realize that he must have been that important to them to remember. The subordinates line up and tell him that they were worried for him because they assumed that he would never be able to face the real world due to his erratic behavior. He updates them all on how he met a human girl and is completely smitten. Instead of leaving him be in his brave pursuit, they are so curious that they morph into strange-looking humans, but Harpy has the toughest time in changing their form as her wings need to be plucked off for it. The band of demons march towards Cecilia's mansion confidently, not regretting anything, but they meet a very pissed-off priestess as she looks down upon Yuki after finding out that they've tortured the poor Harpy. The subordinates like Cecilia a lot, as she's genuinely kind and cares for them. The Duke of Dolahan reminisces about how Yuki had met them and shares all the embarrassing details about them. Chic and Happiness are nowhere to be seen after a while. Yuki goes looking for them and finds the Harpy in a maid outfit. Chic is seen nestling in Cecilia's mother's lap. They have a lovely afternoon together and finally head back home together. The next day, Happiness is hired as a maid into Cecilia's house, as she's seen fit to become one ever since Sophia, the A-rank adventurer, had taught her a few things. Yuki is greeted by Cecilia and she offers to send him to accompany her daughter on a shopping trip. They get into disguises, which is not much since they put on spectacles only. On their way into the street, passing by mini shops, they're spotted by the mage and Yuki's competition, Yuga. Makana does not give up on her love life as well. She creates an alliance with Yuki to steer their partners in different ways so that they can finally win their hearts. In the shop where Yuga and Cecilia are, the two defeated loveless individuals spot Yuga making his love interest try out different things to wear. But suddenly, the priestess's spectacles are knocked off, which makes everyone around them gather around. They all make a run from the public formalities and are exhausted. The following day, Cecilia gets sick as the interactions from the day before had exceeded her limit. Cecilia is disappointed as they didn't spend the whole day together and promises to make it up to him by going out again. Yuki is so pumped that he starts behaving erratically. Sophia, having enough of this, just kicks him out. Cecilia has made recovery, and Yuki heads off to the guild as well. Cryman has something happen to him. He rambles about how good his wife has been treating him lately. Raven walks in without uttering a word as usual. His only friend cannot make out what he's trying to say to him. Well, to be fair, they are one another's only friends at this point. Yuki assumes that he wants to go out together on a quest, but on their way to the forest, Raven discloses that all he wanted to do was talk to Yuki instead. The verbal friend proposes to quickly finish off the demon and head off to eat something to discuss things there. They defeat the demon with ease, making it a special moment since both of them went on a quest with a friend for the first time. Later they head out to eat someplace, of course with Raven in his spectacle and hat disguise. Yuki's shy friend discloses that he has fallen for someone but is too shy to speak to them. This enrages his extroverted friend as he sees a handsome guy worrying over nothing. He hypes him up and gives him the confidence to confess to his love interest. After a while, they head off, and Yuki becomes the wingman and notices that they're heading towards Cecilia's house. He worries that his friend might confess to his interest instead, but waits for him outside until he comes back. Raven's shoulders droop and comes out of the mansion defeated. He has gotten rejected. Yuki heads inside and inquires who he has confessed to, and it turns out to be Happiness. Dolahan's Duke tells her side of the story as well. She's beautiful and is always hunted by humans. All of them decide to meet with Raven to hear his version of what happened. The Duke and Raven face each other off as one wants to protect their friend while the other wants to confess to them. This intense back and forth becomes wholesome as both of them partner up to allow the shy boy to take the first step and befriend his love interest first. Mission successful. The Duke is later scouted by Raven to become a member of the Knights, leaving behind Shik and Yuji living together. The day's mission is to investigate the village dagas. Yuki, along with Shik and Cecilia, head off together in a carriage. Cecilia had work, and Yuki offered to help, and of course the kid could not stay behind. The place is destroyed due to the recent attacks by mountain bandits. The priestess orders everyone to gather up all the people who are either wounded or sick, and the three get to work. Shik gives the people medicinal herbs, while the two use magic to heal them. Cecilia is running out of mana, and the smitten demon notices. He puts her to sleep to let her charge up again. Cecilia is angry at first, but softens up as she hears his concerns. The village people inform about a little girl who is living in the outskirts but is very sick. The three pay her a visit. She feels better after taking a mix of medicinal herbs created by Shik. She tells them about her sickness and her deity who she prays to. She believes that she falls asleep and is protected only because of them. They head off to the temple-looking place where a demon is seen sitting. The little girl prays to it and the three figure out that she's one step closer to starting some demonic cult. Teal and Cecilia head outside the shrine while the boys figure out that it is a gargoyle. They are attacked, but the petite and frail Shik knocks him down with a single kick. The gargoyle begins telling them his story about how he found himself to be stolen by a couple of bandits and had nowhere to go, so he cleaned the shrine and settled there. The little girl would pray to him and he'd do anything to protect her. The suspicions arise, but the gargoyle points out that the gatekeeper demon is just the same as her, running after a human as well. They give it a clear and head off to the village after Teal is successfully healed and is sleeping. The villagers explain the strange girl who prayed to a strange demon-looking sculpture as well, which proves she is ostracized. Cecilia, after finding out the deity's true identity, asks about his intentions as well, and she leaves Teal in his care. And oh, he isn't a lolicon. He's just a demon deity who takes care of the ones who believe in him. The sun sets while Captain Yuki, Cecilia, and Shik are still at Teal's place. The time drags on as Teal narrates boring stories about the guardian deity, aka the demonic gargoyle that she is obsessed with. While overly enthusiastic, she grabs Shik's arm and begs him to wait because she has a lot more stories about the guardian deity. Shik starts crying and looks over at Yuki for help. Teal has obviously chosen the wrong person to vent to. This dude only cares about food and sleeping. Suddenly, Teal starts calling Yuki and Cecilia to join the conversation as well. Yuki quickly excuses himself and Cecilia by telling Teal that they need to get up early tomorrow so they will be leaving. Obviously, he doesn't ask Teal to let Shik go because why would he? He's finally going to get some alone time with his waifu. After shamelessly ignoring Shik's cries for help, the duo bid farewell to Teal and promise to be back before dinner the next day. They step outside into the starry night with a full moon above them. Cecilia asks him if Shik will be alright there on his own, and Yuki reassures her. He tells her that he left Shik behind because Teal looked like she was having fun. He's really pretending as if he did not have any ulterior motives. However, the truth soon starts manifesting itself when he grabs Cecilia's hand. He has yet another excuse up his sleeve though. While pulling her close, he reminds her that it's dark so she should be careful. Cecilia blushes slightly while thanking the thoughtful captain. It's not like Cecilia is completely oblivious to Yuki's tactics. She smiles secretly while they walk through the dark forest, hand in hand. The wholesome couple goes home and just falls asleep to get some rest. Unfortunately, their peace is short-lived. Yuki wakes up to the screams of the villagers. Apparently, the bandits started attacking the village in the middle of the night. Yuki springs up from his bed when he hears an old man calling for help. It seems that Shik somehow managed to free himself from Teal and arrived home to sleep. Yuki shouts at him to wake up while he begs for 5 more minutes of sleep. The swords start clashing between the villagers and the bandits, with the latter having the upper hand. Some blood is shed while Yuki quickly puts his armor on and Cecilia arrives as well. Villagers suffer head injuries but still try to fight back. Just when they're about to lose, the trio arrives. Being the captain, Yuki commands Shik to attack and informs Cecilia that she will be backup. Shik has almost been yawning up until now, but as soon as he hears Yuki's orders, he springs into action. It's almost as if he becomes an entirely different person. His short height and small build help him become nimble. He quickly jumps over the enemy and doesn't even allow them to turn around completely. Before the bandit could barely see his face, he lands a vigorous kick on the head and the latter falls unconscious. At the speed of lightning, he pulls out a dagger and deals a finishing blow to 3 bandits at the same time. The atmosphere that was filled with the laughs of the bandits a few minutes ago is now filled with their screams. Cecilia finds it hard to believe her eyes. Is this the same kid who was bawling his eyes out for leaving him behind at Teal's place a few hours ago? Yuki is unfazed though. He's seen this sign of him a bit too many times to be surprised. Yuki tells her that Shik knows how to take advantage of his small body to confuse the enemies. The way he boasts about Shik shows how proud he is that he used to be his subordinate. A few minutes pass by and Yuki decides that they should now join the fight too. Seeing how close she is to his range, Yuki decides not to use his large-scale magic. He runs in front of Cecilia and uses his Stormblow magic to clear her away. Everything seems to be going smoothly until he suddenly sees smoke coming out of Teal's house. Shik realizes he shouldn't have left her house at all. Yuki commands Shik to hurry over to her house and Shik obliges. Yuki single-handedly takes care of all the bandits. Without even a scratch on his face, he sighs with relief while all the villagers rejoice. However, he knows that it is too early to celebrate. He is worried that Shik hasn't returned yet. Suddenly, doubts start creeping into his mind. Although he believes in Shik's ability to put up a good fight, he starts thinking that maybe Shik lost to those bandits who attacked Teal's house. Whatever the case may be, he admits that he has a bad feeling about it. Without explaining things further, he runs into the forest with a worried expression on his face. In the middle of the forest, he runs into Shik and Teal. However, his eyes are left wide open in disbelief. Teal looks like she's been crying non-stop, whereas Shik is on the verge of tears. In between them is the lifeless body of the gargoyle, the guardian deity that Teal adored so much. There's blood all over his body. While holding back tears and trying to regain his fighting stance, Shik is facing an unknown enemy. The mysterious man is giving off a dangerous aura and is holding onto a bloody sword. He's clearly the one responsible for the gargoyle's current condition. Paying no regard to Shik, the enemy turns around to look at the new guests. He asks Yuki and Cecilia if they are villagers, but soon realizes from their outfits that they are more like celebrities of the village. Shik cuts him mid-sentence by attacking him, but it looks like his opponent has been bored. He mercilessly hits him, which sends Shik flying away. He hits a wall but gets up again with even more anger in his eyes. It seems like this has been going on for quite some time. Before Shik could launch at the enemy again, Yuki grabs him and tells him to calm down. He asks Shik to summarize what happened. Gargoyle was trying to protect Teal against the bandits, and that's when this man attacked him from behind. The enemy starts laughing while claiming that he did them a favor by killing a monster. Then he starts bullying Shik for crying. This time, Yuki attacks him, but his magic disappears as soon as it comes into contact with the killer. Cecilia requests Yuki to step back and informs him that given the killer's identity, Yuki won't be able to fight him. She then proceeds to reveal that the killer is Hero Myra from the Garis Empire, and that the sword in his hands is an artificial magic eater. This gives him the ability to absorb magic. This is why magic users like Yuki are no match for him. The fact that catches Yuki's attention is that there are more heroes. Cecilia explains that other countries have their chosen heroes as well. The bad news is that the killer's artificial sword is a replica of the Holy Magic Sword, so it has many special abilities. However, their conversion is cut short by this hero Myra, who commands them to step up and fight him so he can get it over quickly. Yuki tries to explain to Myra that the gargoyle he just killed was trying to help a human, but Cecilia reminds him that Myra has no dignity as a hero at all. Apparently, his sense of reasoning is that every hero has a right to kill monsters, so he plans on eliminating them all. It appears that although Gargoyle's wings have been cut off as well as one of his arms, he's still alive. Hero Myra makes his way towards what he considers to be a monster. Teal stands in his way and begs him to stop. Cecilia reminds the hero that if someone from the Garis Empire hurts a citizen of the Clarinet's kingdom, it will result in war. It is apparent that he couldn't care less about provoking a war. He turns his attention towards Cecilia, but before he can lay his hands on her, Yuki intervenes. After hurting Teal and wounding Shik, this guy had the audacity to point his sword at Yuki's waifu. Unforgivable. A smirk crawls up on Yuki's face as he promises to show the hero some hell. But what is he going to do? Magic doesn't work on this guy anyway. Yuki launches storm blows after blow at the opponent, but as expected, it deals 0 damage and gets easily absorbed. Now it's the enemy's turn to attack. Yuki easily blocks it, but realizes that if the battle continues, it will become dangerous for Cecilia. He attacks with an enormous amount of magic, and it takes time for the hero to completely absorb. While he is busy absorbing, Yuki attacks again from where the opponent was least expecting. After that, he shows off his victory, which even causes Cecilia to cringe. While they're busy tending to Shik's wounds, the hero suddenly emerges and throws a spear at the gargoyle. But instead of piercing the monster's body, it pierces Teal, who stepped in to protect her guardian deity. Yuki uses his maximum speed to stop the spear, but it hits Teal and she falls back from the impact. When the gargoyle questions her about why she was willing to give her life for him, she simply responds that he acted as her guardian deity and protected her so many times, and she just wanted to protect him once. Unfortunately, the hero is standing on his feet again and has recovered somewhat thanks to the magic wand. Unable to calm himself down, Yuki yells at the killer to not even think about running away. The hero casts a spell which results in thousands of arrows raining down on Cecilia. Yuki protects her, but it results in the hero running away. He and Cecilia apologize to each other for not being able to fulfill their job. Yuki criticizes himself for becoming complacent due to his cheating of infinite magic. In a grim voice, he asks Cecilia if there are any villagers around. When she tells him that no one ever visits this place, Yuki transforms into his demon form. A horn protrudes out of his forehead and he grows wings. The scene sends shivers down Cecilia's spine, and her eyes almost bulge out from the shock. Yuki promises to hunt Myra down and then beat him to a pulp. Although he looks like nothing like the guy Cecilia knows, he turns around to reassure her that his conscience is still intact and he's still the same person. He smiles at her and then flies away, leaving Cecilia speechless. Yuki hides his face with a scarf and attains maximum speed. It doesn't take him long to run into the enemy. Unlike before, Myra's face clearly displays signs of fear. He finds it hard to believe that there is a demon right in front of him. He announces to Myra that he will be getting punished for the crime of cutting the wings of his subordinates. Myra doesn't recognize him as Yuki. After getting cocky again, he tries to attack the flying demon, but a single blow from Yuki causes him to cough up blood. What's bothering Myra is that if the Demon King is dead, how can such a strong demon still survive? Not giving Myra any time to think, Yuki carries him into the air and throws him into a river, while claiming that he's not worthy enough to die by his hands. After experiencing utter humiliation, Myra promises to come back for revenge and then falls into the river that flows to the Garis Kingdom, his homeland. Sparing his life would definitely come back to haunt Yuki again. He should have just ended Myra's career by ripping off an arm or two. It looks like this demon boy is a softie. Yuki transforms back to his normal form, but his horns and wings don't disappear. He walks and makes his way towards Cecilia while thinking about how hard removing the horn and the wings are going to be. Back at home, he realizes how worried Cecilia was after looking at his demon appearance. He promises to never transform again and to live as a human Yuki. Fortunately, they managed to save Teal's life through healing magic. Gargoyle held her hand the entire time. Shik was still depressed, probably due to the fact that he lost a fight against Myra. Now that the work is over, the trio decides to leave the Dagas village. When they enter Teal's home to say goodbye, they are surprised to find Gargoyle. Teal begs the duo to take her and Gargoyle to the city of Minerva so they can find a cure for Gargoyle's missing wings and arm. Yuki comes up with a plan to turn Gargoyle into a statue of Buddha so that carrying him around without looking suspicious could be easy. The group arrives at the city, and Yuki meets up with Duke and Happiness. Apparently, the duo is already fired up about beating up the guy who made Shik cry. Yuki is surprised as to how these two came about to know what happened. It turns out that Shik is so depressed that he vents out his emotions. Someone who had spent their life being quick, powerful, and strong got absolutely humiliated in a battle. Therefore, this is obviously something that Shik will not be able to get over quickly. Duke and Happiness have rage in their eyes, and it looks like they would set out to locate the attacker this very instant. Yuki calms them down and reassures them that he dumped the enemy into the river. Obviously, the duo is disappointed. They were expecting the captain to at least chop him up, tie him to a weight, and then drop him into the sea. Whatever happens to Myra in the river is the least of Yuki's concerns right now. He needs to find a solution to Shik's problem. He concludes that since Shik likes Cecilia, she might be able to cheer him up. Suddenly, the duo's eyes catch the Buddha statue sitting on the table, so they start roasting it with every insult they could think of. Having had enough, Gargoyle appears in his original form, forcing the two to draw their swords. Yuki quickly clears up the misunderstanding. After finding out the truth, they bond very quickly and even end up giving each other nicknames. Soon, the head maid arrives and drags Happiness out of the room for training. Before leaving, he comments on how unacceptable the statue Yuki has is. Poor Buddha gets no love. Yuki decides to stop by the guild and approaches the receptionist. His jaw drops when he finds out that Kreeman is the assistant guild manager. The receptionist informs him that although Kreeman gets a lot of complaints, he does his job pretty well. On the day of the hero parade, he told everyone to take a day off and manage the guild all by himself for 3 days straight. This was back when Yuki had just arrived in Minerva. He asks about Kreeman's current whereabouts. Although Yuki thought that nothing about this man would surprise him anymore, he was still shocked to hear what happened to him. Apparently, he got into an argument with his wife and is currently being treated at a hospital. He visits him and excitedly asks him to narrate the story like a 5-year-old. It appears that the poor man procrastinated too long about which gift he should buy for his wife on their wedding anniversary. However, it's all cool now, and she's coming to pick him up from work. The surprising part is that the apathetic head maid, Sophia, is his wife. Realizing that things have gotten even more interesting, Yuki requests him to narrate his love story as well. When he was young, Kreeman used to be a drunkard who had a strong physique. One day, Sophia approached him in a bar and asked him to make a team with her. He made a move on her and got beaten to a pulp. After realizing her strength, he accepted her offer and both became known as an invincible, languorous couple. Kreeman's feelings for Sophia slowly grew, and although he had not planned on confessing at first, he presented a marriage proposal at dinner one day. Although she agreed, she later beat him to a pulp when he asked for her to quit being an adventurer. Suddenly, Sophia enters the room and the story ends. Yuki couldn't help but feel jealous and single. Back at home, he's changed Gargoyle from a Buddha statue to a Sphinx. He twists and turns in his bed while thinking about Cecilia. Out of boredom, he keeps changing Gargoyle's statue's shape. Suddenly, Cecilia and Happiness knock on the door. Yuki starts jumping around after seeing Cecilia, but is rather disappointed to see that she's not alone. The duo asks Yuki if that he's not busy, they can go all out. Happiness inquires where Gargoyle's Buddha statue has disappeared to. Yuki points at the new nude statue sitting in the middle of the room, and his artistic endeavors get rejected yet again. Cecilia reveals that Shik had been crying non-stop until she hugged him, and after had gotten exhausted from crying, he was taken to the mansion. Apparently, he's feeling a little better now. Hearing the good news, Yuki feels relieved, and even more in love with the caring Cecilia. After that, he reveals that Kreeman and Sophia are married. Cecilia reveals that her mother once told a story about them. It seems like Yuki really loves stories because he gets excited to hear them. However, it turned out to be just another cheesy love story that makes Yuki want to pull his hair out of the pain of being single. After the story's over, Cecilia asks Yuki to come visit Clarence Palace with her. Shik joins them too, unfortunately for Yuki. However, he's just happy to see that Shik is not depressed anymore. The reason why they are here has something to do with Hero Myra. The authorities find it hard to believe that someone as powerful as Shik and Cecilia was unable to defeat him. That's why they are somewhat suspect as well. Yuki and Cecilia instruct Shik to behave himself in front of the king of Clarence County. They meet him and he looks rather friendly. Apparently, he joined battle at the age of 15 and ascended the throne when he was just 25. Shik is half asleep while bowing before the king. Suddenly, the king sends his assistant Sylvia to attack Shik to assess his capabilities. Shik instantly dodges. The king decides that the trio are really capable, so they are a good asset for the kingdom. He promised to reward them generously. Hearing the word reward, only one thing comes to Yuki's mind. He wants a date with Cecilia. The only problem is that he just said that out loud in front of the king. Cecilia's face turns red and she almost passes out from embarrassment. Sylvia attacks him for such a vulgar gesture, but the king stops him, amused by his bravery. The wholesome Shik asks for sweets as a reward. Cecilia's bloodshot eyes demonstrate how angry she is with him right now. She blankly asks him to meet her at her house. Normally, he would be excited at such an offer, but right now, he's scared for his life. Luckily, her mother arrives on time. Apparently, she likes Yuki and his determination to impress Cecilia. However, due to his behavior in front of the king, she forbids him to meet with her daughter for a month. She reduces the punishment to half a month after Cecilia and Yuki beg her to. However, she takes a promise from Yuki. When he comes back, he has to properly confess to Cecilia and become an elegant man. It's day one without Cecilia, and the simp Yuki dreams about kissing her and asking her to marry him. Realizing that there is no way he can spend half a month without her, he resorts to taking love advice from Raven. Raven and Yuki stumble upon a magnificent statue. Little did they know that this encounter would lead to a divergence of opinions. Yuki couldn't help but marvel at the oddity of the world. He remarks on its strange nature, leaving Raven feeling a tad suspicious. He wonders if he had inadvertently said something wrong, but to Raven's surprise, Yuki quickly changes the subject and cites his advice on matters of the heart. Raven, being modest and unsure of his own romantic prowess, assures Yuki that he can confide in him. With a mischievous glint in his eyes, Yuki recounts the story of his meeting with Cecilia. He confessed his initial lack of attentiveness to the situation, resulting in an ill-advised remark that earned him a scolding. Meanwhile, Yuki, struck with inspiration, ponders the idea of an apology gift. Memories flood his mind of the time he couldn't buy Cecilia a necklace due to a crowded store. He shares the tale of their last outing, where an elusive item slipped through his fingers. Enthusiastically, he suggests this as a fantastic solution to this predicament. Deep in thought, Raven realizes that Yuki has already gone on a date with the person of his dreams, while his own relationship has barely progressed. In an attempt to bridge the gap, Yuki proposes that they buy gifts for both of their crushes. Happiness, he explained, might not show it on the outside, but she would appreciate something thoughtful. Raven resolved to buy her a gift, but Yuki reminds him that they need a reason to see her. And so, they embark on a shopping adventure, arriving at a quaint shop that caught their eye. Raven leans in and whispers to Yuki, insisting they should leave immediately, much to Yuki's confusion. Refusing to be swayed, Yuki stood his ground, believing they should take a look around. Their presence did not go unnoticed by the shopkeeper, who curiously approached them. Raven discreetly displays a piece of paper bearing the words hair clip as his means of communication. He can't speak out loud after all. The shopkeeper, understanding their plight, guides them to their desired item. And, lo and behold, they find the perfect gifts they have been seeking. As they emerge from the shop, they are startled by the appearance of Makana, who raises an eyebrow and questions their presence in such a place. Swiftly, they assure her that they were merely buying gifts, attempting to ward off any suspicion. Makana couldn't help but find it unbelievable that a swordsman like Raven could be in love. However, her grumbling stomach cuts their conversation short, revealing her true motive, a desperate hunger. Makana, without hesitation, whisks them away to a nearby restaurant. With urgency in his eyes, Yuki whispers to Raven, desperately plotting an escape. Their plan was simple yet audacious. Eat continuously, without pause, to avoid engaging in conversation. But just when they thought they had succeeded, Makana mentions a story about Cecilia. Yuki, unable to resist his curiosity, unwittingly sabotages their plan, interrupting her with a barrage of questions. Caught in the web of distraction, Makana begins recounting the tales of Yuga, the mischievous antics he pulled on the Saintess. Raven couldn't help but express his envy, claiming he was lucky to find himself in such amusing situations, much to Yuki's irritation. They delve deeper into the tales, reminiscing about the time Yuga unknowingly established unnecessary relationships that interfered with their noble quest. In a valiant effort to steer the conversation away from their own love lives, they manage to redirect Makana's attention. She embarks on a captivating story, leading them to an unexpected revelation. The defeat of the Demon King was not accomplished by a grand hero, but rather by a low-ranking demon in the Demon King's castle. Yuki, however, is the one. I guess the Demon King never saw that coming. It must have been like getting hit with a surprise pie to the face. The atmosphere in the room grows tense, as Makana begins to recount the harrowing battles they had fought within the depths of the Demon King's castle. Each clash had brought them face to face with the imminent threat of death, their lives hanging by a thread. But what troubled Makana the most was the knowledge that their survival was only made possible by the intervention of the overpowering demon. With a tremor in her voice, Makana describes how, time and time again, they find themselves on the brink of defeat, their bodies battered and broken. Yet, in those dire moments, the demon would appear, its otherworldly power healing their wounds and granting them a chance to fight on. The demon's aid was undeniable, but Makana couldn't shake the feeling that his actions were driven by nothing more than pity for their feeble attempts at victory. The weight of their dependence on the demon's mercy crushed Makana's spirit. She revealed how each encounter with the demon served as a stark reminder of their own insignificance in the face of its overwhelming might. The demon made sure to emphasize the vast power gap between them, a constant reminder that they were mere playthings in its game. But the most shocking revelation came when Makana disclosed the condition the demon had imposed upon them for their continued survival. With a heavy heart, she admits that the demon had demanded they abandon Cecilia, their beloved saint, and continue their journey without her. It was a condition that struck at the very core of their purpose, tearing at the bonds they had forged as a team. Makana admits that she convinced everyone to accept this condition, but Raven expresses disappointment, questioning whether it would have been acceptable if Cecilia had died. Yuki tries to justify his actions, revealing that, at the time, he only wanted to get closer to Cecilia, hence offering the condition. Makana delves into the details of what transpired, how they believed they knew enough about the enemy's strength and were poised for victory. However, the appearance of the demon shattered their confidence. Makana reveals that the reason they couldn't afford to be defeated by an unarmed demon was to preserve the credibility of the hero party and protect Yuga's reputation. As their failures continued for a month, their excuses and their reports ceased to be effective. However, at that critical juncture, the demon offered an alternative solution. Makana confesses that, for the sake of the team, she had no choice but to accept the demon's offer. She explains that she made a difficult decision for the team's sake, bearing the regret and guilt that came with it. After defeating the Demon King, Makana rushed to the room where they had left Cecilia, despite being physically drained. She expresses embarrassment and apologizes for not being able to talk about it until now. Makana couldn't tell Cecilia the truth, and instead, she became hated by Yuga, trapped in a sense of guilt. Her intention was to protect her childhood friend Yuga, with whom she had fallen in love. With her revelations concluded, Makana leaves, leaving Yuki and Raven to process the information. Meanwhile, the half-month detention period finally comes to an end, and Yuki eagerly anticipates reuniting with Cecilia. However, a girl arrives and relays a message from the lady, requesting Yuki's presence at the mansion tomorrow at noon. Thanking the girl, Yuki offers her a chance to come inside. He mentions that he plans to visit the city for a while. In the city, Yuki hears about a store known for its delicious cakes and decides to pay it a visit. To his surprise, upon entering, he is greeted by a muscular man, who explains that his sister is sick, so he took over the store for the day. Apologizing for accidentally using too much strength and crushing a cake, the man showcases his kind-hearted side. Yuki, witnessing a crying child, buys food for them. However, their peaceful outing takes a dramatic turn when a thief suddenly snatches the bag from Yuki's grasp. Determined to recover what was stolen, Yuki gives chase. After swiftly immobilizing the thief with a powerful kick, Yuki is caught off guard when the thief, revealed to be Yuga, accuses him of theft. Despite attempting to clarify the misunderstanding, Yuga's aggression escalates as he mercilessly attacks Yuki with his sword. Yuki finds himself locked in a heated argument with a stubborn guard. His wallet has been stolen, and he vehemently insists that he is telling the truth. Yet, the guard dismisses him with an annoyed wave, accusing him of making excuses. Frustration boiled inside Yuki's chest as he pondered how Yuga had effortlessly painted him as the villain in this situation. Just as the tension reaches its peak, a figure emerges from the shadows. It was none other than Commander Raven, the renowned hero of the city. Raven steps forward, holding a piece of paper that bore the account of what had truly occurred. Yuki's eyes widen with relief as he realizes that Raven has come to his aid. Gratitude floods his heart as he thanks Raven profusely, acknowledging that without him, he would have been lost in this bizarre predicament. With a knowing smile, Raven assures Yuki that he will remind Yuga to pay closer attention next time. Yuki then musters the courage to ask if he can communicate with the other heroes. To his surprise, Raven nodded in approval, explaining that he often relied on written messages during the heroes' party meetings. Yuki couldn't help but find it oddly convincing. The reason behind it was shocking. Apparently, the neglect to consider Cecilia-san as having engaged in illegal activities. Furthermore, his wallet has been stolen by a human, leading to the unfortunate misunderstanding that painted him as a criminal. With Raven's message to Yuga firmly written on paper, Yuki makes a resolute decision. He will venture forth to find Yuga himself. Yuki confronts the Duke about his recent actions, only to be met with denial from the guard. The Duke claims that he'll refer to Raven as Commander Raven in public. Irene steps in and whisks the Duke away for some training, leaving Yuki deep in thought about the possibility of elves becoming knights. Just as Yuki ponders the mysteries of the world, Yuga makes his grand entrance. The two engage in a delightful conversation, reminiscing about their previous encounter when Yugi accompanied Cecilia. Eager to make amends, Yuki suggests they visit a nearby restaurant known for its culinary wonders. As they step into the restaurant, Yuki experiences a moment of deja vu. It turns out to be the very place Makana had recommended before. Yuki can't help but marvel at the restaurant's perfect organization and generous space. The duo place their orders, and Yuki seizes the opportunity to apologize for his earlier hastiness and mistake. Yuki, ever their forgiving friend, assures Yugi that it was nothing to fret over. But Yugi, overwhelmed by guilt, questions how a hero like himself could make such an error. In an attempt to console him, Yuki shares some words of wisdom, urging Yugi to let go of the weight on his shoulders. Just when the conversation reaches a lighthearted moment, Yugi can no longer contain his curiosity about Yuki's relationship with Cecilia. Yuki calmly explains that they are merely good friends, causing Yugi's eyebrows to shoot up in astonishment. The unexpected twist arrives when Yuki reveals that even Raven is his friend. Yugi, taken aback by this revelation, seeks advice from Yuki on the matter of friendship, admitting that he doesn't have many friends himself. This triggers a passionate outburst from Yuki, who begins to rant about the true nature of Makana's involvement in recent events. Yuki is stunned to discover that Yuki is privy to these hidden details. Yuki explains that Makana has been tormented by guilt and has been crying over her actions. A heated debate ensues, with Yuki insisting that Makana was the one who abandoned Cecilia initially. However, Yuki clearly counters, arguing that Makana's motivations stem from her deep care for Yugi himself. Gradually, the realization dawns upon Yugi that he has been unfairly blaming Makana while neglecting his own responsibility in the matter. Overwhelmed by this revelation, tears stream down Yugi's face, realizing the extent of his selfishness and lack of accountability. In a heartwarming moment, Yuki comforts him, assuring Yugi that failure is a natural part of life and that he mustn't give up or shrink his responsibilities. Through their heartfelt conversation, Yugi comes to recognize the incredible support Makana has provided him since childhood. He understands that Makana's scolding is a testament to her deep concern and their close bond. Determined to make amends, Yugi resolves to apologize to Makana. However, he can't muster the courage to face her alone, thus turning to Yuki for support. And so, Yuki requests Yuki's company on his quest for redemption, emphasizing the importance of their friendship and mutual reliance. Chaos ensues as Yuga, in his usual rush, collides with Yuki. Cue a classic meet-cute moment, with both characters engaging in a proper introduction. Determined to sort out his issues, Yuga storms into Makana's house without so much as a knock, but what greets him is an unexpected sight. Makana, half naked. Talk about a surprise. Caught off guard, Makana is bewildered by Yuga's sudden appearance, and before he knows it, Yuga launches into a rant, acknowledging his past selfishness and apologizing for treating her poorly. Little does he realize that, despite his newfound enlightenment, he's still behaving rather terribly. In an attempt to make amends, Yuga even requests Makana to scold him. However, given the circumstances, she's already furious that he barged in on her while changing, so the scolding was on the agenda either way. Meanwhile, Yuki, growing wary of the dramatic scene unfolding before him, decides it's best to walk away from the chaos. Smart move, Yuki. He opts for a stroll, accompanied by Tiru-chan, whom he invites along. And guess what? She happily agrees to join him, clearly eager for an escape too. As they wander through the marketplace, fate takes an amusing turn. A girl is handing out free cake to everyone because her muscular brother accidentally smashed a customer's cake. Ah, the quirks of life. And wouldn't you know it, the brawny fellow is none other than the Beastman himself. Yuki finds himself entangled in a conversation with this unlikely character. Just when Yuki thought his day couldn't get any more intriguing, a man approaches him, apologizing for the trouble caused by his young master the day before. As compensation, the man presents Yuki with a small gift. Curious, Yuki checks the bag and discovers a delightful surprise, a collection of mouth-watering roast meat skewers. Awesome! But the surprises keep coming. On his journey, Yuki unexpectedly encounters happiness. Overjoyed, he is led to her workplace, where he anticipates seeing Cecilia once more. Their reunion after half a month feels like an entire year to them. Oh, the joy of love. Not one to come empty-handed, Yuki presents Cecilia with the free food he acquired earlier in the market. He confesses that both gifts were obtained for free, leading to an amusing exchange between the two. In the midst of their conversation, Cecilia prepares more cake for them to savor. As Yuki indulges in the delicious treat, he can't help but express his gratitude to Cecilia for her culinary prowess. It seems that, despite his past struggles as the king of the demon castle, he has now found happiness. Why? Because he has a reason to live, and that reason is Cecilia. In the midst of a heated conversation, the dynamic duo, Yuga and Makana, make their grand entrance to meet Cecilia. Yuga, being the brave soul that he is, steps forward to offer his sincerest apologies to Cecilia. But before he can even finish his sentence, whack! Makana's hand delivers a resounding slap to his face. Ouch, what a dramatic turn of events. Undeterred by the unexpected face-to-palm collision, Yuga summons his courage once again, and pleads with Cecilia to unleash her wrath upon him. Oh, the poor guy, thinking a tongue lashing from Cecilia would somehow cleanse his soul. But Makana, realizing the weight of her silence, took a deep breath and interjected with her own apology. As Makana pours out her heart, desperately trying to convey her remorse, Cecilia, being the amazing friend, doesn't let her suffer a moment longer. She cuts Makana off, accepting her apology with open arms. Metaphorically speaking, of course. After all, who needs to extend agony when forgiveness is just a leap away? With impeccable timing, Yuki, the mysterious savior, steps forward and presents Cecilia with a hair clip. And let me tell you, it suits her like a perfectly fitted glove. Even Makana can't help but shower her friend with compliments, admitting that Cecilia looks downright stunning. It seems like Yuki's fashion sense is not to be underestimated. In this tender moment, Cecilia turns to Yuki and expresses her heartfelt gratitude for his intervention in the Makana-Yuga saga. Yuki, being the humble hero that he is, confesses that he couldn't bear the thought of their relationship crumbling. Cecilia and Yuki realize the profound impact they've had on each other's lives. They exchange a shared moment of happiness, hoping that their newfound connection will continue to bloom. Cecilia, ever the optimist, entrusts Yuki with her heart, knowing that he will always be there to care for her. Yuki finds himself in a nail-biting situation. Clutching the precious necklace he intends to gift Cecilia, he realizes the weight of his nerves and steps outside to catch his breath. It's like the anxiety has wrapped around him, making it difficult to think clearly. Meanwhile, Yugi, unable to contain his excitement, urges Makana to investigate Cecilia's castle. Sensing Yuki's lack of focus, Makana delivers a well-deserved slap, snapping him back to reality. It's time to focus on the mission at hand, apologizing to Cecilia. As they make their way inside, Yuki's heart races, and he musters up the courage to approach Cecilia. With bated breath, he asks for her assistance, his sweaty palms reaching out to touch hers. The tension in the air is palpable. Now, Yuki can't help but overthink. What if Cecilia doesn't appreciate the gift? Fear of rejection gnaws at him, threatening to consume his every thought. Alone in the hallway, Cecilia waits patiently while Yuki grapples with his inner turmoil. Finally, steeling his nerves, Yuki takes a deep breath and approaches Cecilia once more. She stands there, poised as if she already knows what he's about to do. However, just as he's about to hand over the long-awaited present, panic strikes again, and Yuki dashes away, his anxiety getting the better of him. Yuki whisks Cecilia away to an undisclosed location within the vast mansion, curiosity tingling in his veins, compelling him to eavesdrop on the happenings within a nearby room. With bated breath, he overhears the astonishing news. Kryman and Sophia have welcomed a child into the world. Sophia, determined to shield her daughter from Kryman's influence, has taken up the noble task of raising her alone. Just as Yuki teeters on the edge of discovery, danger lurking around the corner, he grabs Cecilia's delicate hand, his heart pounding with adrenaline. They dart through the mansion's labyrinth-like corridors, desperately trying to outrun their pursuers. Exhaustion finally caught up with Cecilia, her voice laced with fatigue as she questioned Yuki's intentions in this treacherous mansion. With a mixture of sincerity and resolve, Yuki confesses that he has discovered a sanctuary where only the two of them exist. A spark of anticipation dances in his eyes as he presents Cecilia with a precious necklace, a symbol of his unwavering affection. He recounts the day when circumstances conspired against her, preventing her from acquiring the desired necklace due to an unruly individual who disrupted the peace in the store. But now, he proudly declared, he had acquired the coveted gift and his intentions were resolute. Cecilia, overcome with delight, expresses her profound gratitude and promises to cherish the necklace dearly. Their blissful moment, however, is abruptly shattered when Yuki bursts into the room, his voice booming with disapproval at finding them alone. They decide to escape the confines of the mansion and venture into the enchanting courtyard, where they could revel in the remnants of the evening's gentle embrace. The young man, who's on a mission to win over the love of his life, now clearly sees obstacles that are causing a hindrance. He marches towards the guild for some answers. Yuki demands why his high-ranking quests are not bearing any rewards, as he's still at a measly rank B. Kryman debates that the position he is in is still extraordinarily good, since he's only been a registered adventurer for half a year. The human-looking demon argues that he needs to progress as soon as possible for his life to fall into place. For Kryman, it would mean more high-ranking quests, more work, and of course that is out of the equation. In the end, Yuki's case is put to rest, as the lazy bum explains how he might get in trouble for promoting him too soon. Yuki walks back home in sheer disappointment, as his plans of settling in sooner have once again been put to a halt. Guy is still in his weird hat-shaped form, placed on top of a table. Both of them have a small little chat before the gargoyle sadly reveals his true crumbling state. Deep cracks spread across his body, missing an arm and stripped of wings. The shrine demon shares that he's taken a huge blow from the last battle, and does not seem to be recovering like he normally would. Only 5 more days remained for him to live, and even in this state, he worried about Tiru and her failing health. He asks Yuki to take care of her for him after he passes away, but the demon boy does not accept the fate of his friend so easily. He strikes an extravagant pose in the middle of his room, declaring that he shall commit to finding a cure for the wounded gargoyle. Yuki decides the best person for advice regarding demons would be the Duke of Dullahan himself, and so he pays him a visit for the knight's headquarters. Without the luxury of having wings anymore, walking has become the least favorite activity for the spoiled demon. He immediately crashes on the sofa and waits for his friend to finish up his administrative yet very still nightly duties. A feeble-looking knightess walks up to Yuki and introduces herself as Irene. She asks what his relationship is with Duke since they seem to be close. Moreover, she's curious why a very accomplished knight would address someone as their captain. Yuki sees this as an opportunity to tease her since she seems gullible enough. He plays around with all their history and twists it into something that sounds mysterious and menacing. The Duke walks in on them and dismisses his friend's claims and deems them not more than a joke, the name not holding much value as well since it's just a playful nickname kept for friends. Irene leaves them alone to talk. Without beating around the bush, Yuki explains the situation with Guy and seeks help in finding a cure for him promptly. His loyal subordinate does not disappoint. The solution is for some magical mineral stones as to feed the gargoyle so that they can be brought back to their former self. Since this information is supposed to be common knowledge for all the demons, Duke seems to be disappointed at his captain's competency. As Yuki steps out of the headquarters, he's met with a very worried Cecilia, who runs towards him to inform him about the failing health of Tiru. Both of them travel to Tiru, where Sick is taking care of her, diligently coming up with different medicines to help cure her sickness. In the carriage, Yuki updates her about Guy's health as well, and both of them assume that there might be a connection between the two. Tiru lays on the bed. She's unconscious and struggles to breathe properly. Sick tells both that he's running short on supplies as well. The situation looks as bleak as ever. His superior dutifully takes on the responsibility to bring him extra medicinal herbs, but Cecilia reminds him of the current task at hand, and promises to take up this end of the work herself. Tiru comes back from her unconscious state upon hearing Guy's condition from sheer worry and cries as she asks them to help get him better. Cecilia pacifies her and casts a spell on her to go back to sleep peacefully. Both of them head out to work while they leave the poor girl under Sick's care. Yuki, after thoroughly investigating where he could source magical mineral stones, finds his way to the Trade Guild, but unfortunately, they too are short on supply. Kryman walks into the shop as well. To Yuki's surprise, the lazy old Vice Guildmaster is actually quite popular with the women. He receives information on a mission by the trade guild's owner, but is irked by seeing an increase in complication with it. He looks over at Yuki and tries to reel him in the trouble immediately, but the demon refuses. Yuki discloses that he doesn't have time to take on any extra missions since he is in search of magic mineral stones. Krymen tells him that the quest at hand also conveniently has to do with the mineral stones too. He offers a handsome share and a trade to get upgraded to rank A as well. Yuki finally accepts since he hasn't gotten any more time to waste. Keeping it very short and cryptic, Krymen tells him to just meet him at the front of the guild the next morning. To his surprise, on today's quest, he is accompanied by Krymen and his wife Sophia along with Cecilia. The carriage's horses gallop towards their destination, and their mission's brief is given to all of them. The four are split in the teams of two, since Cecilia and her maid are there to collect 6 requested herbs while the boys are to deal with the complicated case of sourcing mineral stones. The location is the same since this place is known to have a lot of magical energy. Since boarding the carriage, Krymen has been knocked out and lying on Sophia's lap. Upon asking why, the wife answers nonchalantly how they had a dispute over something earlier and she has successfully convinced him agreeing with her viewpoint. Safe to say, violence is how things work around here. The beaten-up husband comes back to his senses, completely smitten by his wife's closeness to him. He spews words of simpery, which of course any good husband would, after resting peacefully in his wife's lap. This is a new side to the man who looks half dead all the time. Yuki interrupts his dreamy state and asks about their mission. He gets to know that they are to fight with a demon who lives inside magic mineral stone mines. Krymen asks the kid to delay their updates to the guild so that he gets to spend more time with his wife, and gets beaten up again for addressing her in an unladylike manner. They plan to go for the monster first and then tackle the other mission after it. The night before they proceed to the quest, Yuki wonders if he'll get to see Sophia, a terrifyingly strong rank A adventurer in action, fully armored and prepared. Sophia's clad in her armor. Oh yes, she is, but it is another maid outfit. Yuki wonders if her husband is just another degenerate maid outfit enthusiast since she reveals shyly how he likes her in the outfit. But when he's questioned, he reveals a sweet secret behind the reason why he prefers her dress like that. Man to man, he shares that he fully acknowledges her as a force to be reckoned with, yet still fears for her safety, and so her putting on the maid outfit makes it look like she's executing simpler tasks compared to killing demons. Yuki gets jealous of the love that they share between each other and asks if they have any kids. While making their way down to the mine, Krymen laughs joyously as he tells them about his daughter and son. Their chit-chat is interrupted by the monsters blocking their path. Sophia does not waste a single second as she charges right at them. Krymen casts spells using the Shikigami's divine consciousness, but since Krymen is Krymen, he's just too lazy to manipulate their forms and leaves their strength to do the work for him. Several paper dolls attack giant monsters, and surprisingly, they're all taken down. Moving deeper into the mine, they find their opponent, a mutant rock-eating monster. Its body glistens differently, proving that it is indeed the reason behind the shortage of magic mineral stones. Krymen warns them of 2 things. Firstly, not to use magic spells as it wouldn't do any harm, and secondly, that its body needs to be intact after being taken down. He proposes to have Yuki get devoured by the demon while using his protective spells, but Sophia steps in as she sees herself as a more suitable match for this fight. Krymen changes as he puts all his effort to keep his wife safe. Had he done the same for the unlucky demon boy? The answer is no, he wouldn't. The trio begin to use magic to keep the demon in one place. Yuki uses his vast array of magical spells, Cecilia uses protective spells to wrap around the demon, while Krymen uses special arts along with protective spells cast around his wife. This time, no paper summons attack, but the real transformed Shikigamis do. He's serious when it comes to Sophia and begins leading everyone so that no mistakes are made. Sophia swiftly makes her way into the belly of the demon and defeats it. The 2 young lovebirds pick each other up, bashfully asking if they're doing okay, while the married couple shows off their love with a full PDA on display. All of them then proceed to the next mission, procuring the medicinal herbs. This takes them a lot of time, since the rubble from the battlefield has made it difficult to extract the herbs. The squad heads off to the place where they are staying for the night, but before going in, Yuki asks Cecilia for her permission if he could get back into his real demon form so that he could fly to Guy in time. Yuki waits for everyone to fall asleep at the boarding house and makes his way downstairs. He is shocked to find Cecilia awake at that hour, and upon asking how she shows her alliance and helps him sneak out. She sends him away with all the herbs, magical mineral stones, and even food for the way. It has been a long time since Yuki's flown, but he's swift as ever and reaches his home in no time where he finds Guy asleep. He tries waking him up, but Guy wants this moment to be a peaceful passing away for him. However, he cannot compose himself for long and gives in. Without any words to be exchanged between them, Yuki stuffs magical mineral stones into the gargoyle's mouth, one by one down to his throat. All cracks start healing, and the mineral stones seem to work incredibly well. Moreover, Guy seems to have a liking for them and tells him to hand over the satchel so that he chomps them down at his own pace. Yuki abruptly leaves him and heads off in the direction of where Teru and Sick are staying. He quickly hands the herbs to the sleepy Sick for him to work his magic, but heads back to the boarding house. It still hurts to rip his wings off and break his horn, but he's too tired to create a fuss, and scurries inside for a quick nap. He's woken up by Sophia's beautiful face, observing an unconscious husband carried in her hands, which at this point has become a norm. On their way back home, Yuki passes out in the carriage since he's terribly exhausted from last night's delivery work. He wakes up in Cecilia's lap. Kryman teases them both as he sees them cozy up to one another. A few days later, both Guy and Teru have fully recovered. They are infinitely more attached to one another. This does not sit well with the poor protagonist since he hasn't got the riz yet to wife up the woman of his dreams. Every morning he wakes up to the two tucked away in each other's arms. Tough luck. The poor lad tries to understand why they've gotten so close, but the atmosphere just reeks of love and he cannot stand it for the life of him. He heads off into the city where he encounters the same demon as before, the one who looks part human, part lion. They exchange a few greetings, and Yuki's pretty impressed by the hustle in the market ever since the Demon Lord had been defeated. He encounters Kryman, and the sight is rare seeing him walking around the market. Yuki asks why he's not at the guild, and he answers with plain doom written across his face. Wedding anniversary gifts, the dread of all men. Yuki's pretty much free as well, and he happily tags along and offers assistance which wasn't even asked for in the first place. The demon boy just picks up what he knows Kryman might like for his wife, including things that are quite questionable as wedding anniversary gifts. He shamelessly offers cat ears and tries defending his case by wearing it as well. This is to seemingly convince that it is cute. As a joke, he just gets one and slips it inside Kryman's bag. The young demon is quite fashionable. It just so happens that he hasn't had time to buy anything for himself until this point, so he keeps on stacking his things one on top of another until it's the size of a boulder tied to his back. This particular fashion sense is not appreciated by the Vice Guildmaster, and he just straight up calls it weird. The simp husband, which to clarify is a compliment, has a good taste for gifts as he's gotten a new apron as well as a set of foreign spices. As a favor for his help, Kryman offers to give him a mission, even on his day off. Yuki seems to get too hyped by this and hurries back to the back alley for a quick change of clothes. He comes back looking like a complete tool. Oh boy is it bad. Kryman wasn't wrong to judge this time. Yuki has a big old mask covering his face, some long black coat giving off a very mysterious aura. To be fair, it's not the kind of mystery anyone would like to unravel, and some accessories that make it worse. Going along with it, Kryman walks up to one of the receptionists and asks for an A-rank mission for the mystery man behind him. The receptionist asks the man of his current rank and his name. Of course, it is a secret, and so the name proposed by Yuki is Black Lightning Magic Swordsman. Kryman cannot handle the cringe and offers a "good luck, you're on your own" on his way out. The new persona takes on all 4 of the A-ranking missions, which is needless to say, an overkill. He promises the receptionist 10 days for the time that it'll take for his return. The costume guy heads off and swiftly covers up most of the missions, but not seem to get baffled at the response of the people since they have been acting cold towards him. The last mission is defeating troublemaking robbers. After spotting them, he whips out his magical lightning-shaped sword and wields it like a pro. A spell is casted and lightning bolts hit the sword. Since the whole display is so flashy, Yuki personally asks for their wishes. But the robbers didn't take him seriously, pointing out his goofy costume. He ties all the robbers together and encounters the forces of the knights, Raven and Duke at the front. He declares that his job is done, and he'll head off pronto. Raven points at the men who are tied up and whispers in Duke's ear the orders for the knights. Black Lightning Bolt Man is spared, and he hides behind the trees to eavesdrop on them. He genuinely is baffled at how Raven is so shy that he's unable to speak to his army of knights. Duke directs Raven back to finish off with his important duties so that he can catch up to his deranged captain for a bit. Yuki takes off his mask and is embarrassed since he would never have thought anyone would see through the facade. His face beams red as he bolts back to his home. At his home, Sophia gives a limp smile to her husband as she holds a cat hairband in her hands. Kryman cries and laments. Oh, the agony. He cannot even throw the cat-eared band away since his daughter's taken a liking towards it. He also has no clue who put it there. He heads back into the guild but informs the adventurer that his rank is still B, since the higher-ups did not like a sudden promotion. He tells him that he better disguise himself as the Magic Bolt guy again for more A-rank missions, but this becomes a bitter memory for Yuki too, leaving him shuddering and shaking violently in his shoes. The traumatized demon walks into the guild and catches a rare sight of Sophia at her husband's workplace. He asks why she was there, and Kryman, instead of explaining, flashes him with a bento box filled with pretty chocolates. Ah, Valentine's Day already. The day the lovers get a big W, while the bachelors get the L. Yuki storms out of the guild and goes back to his apartment without taking on any quest that day, but he's welcomed by the sight of Teru stuffing heart-shaped chocolates into Guy's mouth. It is too much for his poor heart, and so he goes to the other single friend, the Duke. Yuki's demonic aura spreads around him and he looks menacing. Irene walks in on them and she fiddles about with the chocolates box, shyly handing it over to her crush too. Yuki wishes vile things would happen to his friend as well. Both of them take a sneak at Happiness and Raven as well, the silent love-struck ones. Thank goodness they shut up and stay like that for hours. Yuki heads off into the main city and finds the mage Mikana and hero Yuga. They have their moments as well. It seems like everyone got somewhere in their love life but him. Even sick, the pipsqueak got chocolates from Cecilia. While he is contemplating his life choices, including one where he could run amok as Thunderbolt persona, Cecilia catches him. She asks him if he's had anything to eat yet since she's hungry and offers to have dinner together. Coming back from the fanciest places to eat, Yuki escorts the lady home. She hands him a bag filled with chocolates and sweets. He finally feels like he belongs into the society. The life of being an outcast is long over. Until he hears her say that she's actually given everyone presents like these and he's the last one to receive it. He still joyously devours the cake with a sweet little note and saves the cookies and a few chocolates for later. He does so with tears flooding his eyes and flowing down his face. In the morning, he feels his heartache as Duke tells him about how good the cookies were, but he notices how no one got the cake like him. Oh, sweet redemption. Well-deserved GG's. This does not last long, as he gets his ears pulled by Cecilia as she's figured out his bold shenanigans. She scolds him not to do that again since it's against guild rules. At the guild, Yuki receives his secret stash of rewards for A-rank missions, but before he leaves, Kryman asks about the hairband from before, and Yuki simply confirms his suspicions. Hisan and Duke find themselves engrossed in a lively conversation at Yuki's favorite cake shop. Yuki leans in and shares with Duke that he has some afternoon commitments to attend to. Perplexed, Duke questions why Yuki would call him on such a long-awaited holiday, to which Yuki simply replies that he wanted to meet him from time to time. Yuki expresses his gratitude to Duke for bringing him back to his senses on another occasion, assumingly remarking how remarkable it is that Duke still remembers it, much to Yuki's slight annoyance. Duke casually dismisses his actions as merely thinking that Yuki is acting foolishly, adding that he is the only person who would do such a thing. Curiosity leads Duke to ask if others find Raven's voice amusing. Yuki shifts to his concern about a handbell. Yuki vows to plan accordingly, but Duke reveals no progress, as it will take time for Raven to speak publicly. Yuki sarcastically blames the captain, calling Duke naive. Duke inquires about Yuki's relationship with Cecilia. Yuki happily shares a planned date, admitting he intentionally chose his place as his favorite. Teasingly, Duke questions if Yuki will only eat cake and leave. Duke advises Yuki to take the initiative, investigate Cecilia's interests, or indirectly inquire about her preferences. Overwhelmed, Yuki seeks guidance, but Duke leaves for his appointment, wishing Yuki luck. Caught off guard, Yuki lies and claims that he just arrived, even though he has been there since the morning. Luckily, Yuki has developed a rapport with this kind server girl, who allows him to stay without ordering anything. Approaching their table, the server girl inquires about their order. Cecilia, unable to decide amidst the delectable array of cakes, finds herself in a state of indecisiveness. Observing Yuki lost in thought, Cecilia gently questions what is bothering him. At that moment, the server girl's brother emerges from the kitchen, capturing the attention of the ladies with his impressive muscles. With pride, he presents a new cake recipe he has crafted, which turns out to be absolutely delicious. Ah, the power of baked goods and biceps. Appreciating Yuki's choice of the cake shop, the server girl thanks Cecilia, and introductions are made all around. Cecilia hesitates as she prepares to reveal her true identity to Amy, urging her to keep it a secret. Amy is astonished to have Cecilia, whom she refers to as Cecilia-sama, as an important customer at their shop. She panics excitedly, marveling at the situation while expressing her wish for her brother, Yuki, to be as mature as Cecilia. Curiosity sparks, and Cecilia inquires about Amy's brother. Amy acknowledges the curiosity and shares her brother's name, Andre. She unveils the tragic story of her parents, both pastry chefs who perished during the war. The siblings, admiring their parents, face pressure from society, accusing them of carelessness amidst the war against the Demon Lord. Andre, driven by the desire to protect his sister in their shop, dedicates himself to physical training. His muscles conceal a tearful backstory, impressing Cecilia. However, as heroes emerge in the world, the condemnation decreases. Cecilia invites Andre to create sweets together, but he believes he needs a stronger body, dismissing her suggestion. Andre joins the guild and achieves a B rank, surprising Yuki. Cecilia and Yuki leave the shop, uncertain about their next destination. Yuki feels Cecilia might be testing him as he has not planned an ideal date. He resorts to copying Duke's plan and unintentionally follows him and Cecilia to the pharmacy. Undeterred, Cecilia suggests a clothing shop, where she finds a gift for Yuki that matches his unique style, making him blush with delight. Yuki offers to buy Cecilia something, but she declines, mentioning her clothing is taken care of by Sophia-san due to her high-class background. They continue their adventure, trailing Duke and Cecilia to a Kenjutsu dojo, where Yuki feels inadequate in comparison. Spotting a florist shop, Cecilia eagerly suggests a visit, much to Yuki's relief as he believes he's been granted a reprieve from planning their next move. Cecilia is sharing with Yuki about her encounters with Sik-kun, the man who is teaching her all about flowers. Intrigued, Yuki acknowledges that Sik must possess a wealth of knowledge when it comes to plants. They engage in a conversation about Sik's frequent interactions with the mansion's gardeners, discussing flowers that can be used for condiments or tea. It becomes apparent that Cecilia and Sik get along quite well, and he effortlessly blends into their world. Curiosity piques Yuki's interest, and he asks Cecilia to share some of the things she has learned from Sik. To his surprise, she reveals that certain flowers can be used as medicine. Yuki had always believed that flowers are merely objects of visual beauty, but now his perspective is shifting. He ponders to himself that this date is going remarkably well so far. If he can take her to one more place, he is certain it will become the best date he has ever experienced. This time, he vows to trust the Duke blindly and follow him wherever he goes. As they continue their journey, Yuki can't help but notice the streets are becoming increasingly deserted. Suddenly, Cecilia's attention is captured by someone she recognizes. Yuki's confusion grows as he tries to make sense of their surroundings. They find themselves at a horseback archery range. To their surprise, a group of children comes running towards Cecilia, embracing her with heartfelt hugs and calling her Holy Mother. Yuki's bewilderment intensifies as he wonders what is happening. The manager of the orphanage approaches him and inquires if he is Cecilia's friend. Introducing herself as Tabate, she explains how Cecilia regularly visits the orphanage to engage in charity work and spends time teaching and playing with the children. It becomes clear that the children have developed a deep attachment to Cecilia due to her kindness and compassion. With their shopping completed, Tabate warmly invites Yuki and Cecilia to visit the orphanage. The children are thrilled at the prospect of Cecilia's presence, their excitement's palpable. Yuki willingly helps with the luggage, impressing the children with his effortless strength. As they arrive at the orphanage, Yuki finds himself embracing his role as an entertainer, bringing joy to the eager young ones. In the captivating manga recap, Cecilia and Yuki share a delightful time with the children, but Cecilia advises against using magic. Yuki apologizes, and they apologize for overstaying their welcome. They even cook dinner during the debate. Cecilia reassures them that it wasn't a bother and invites them to come again. Reflecting on the day, Cecilia playfully asks Yuki if his plan was ruined. He admits he had no plans and recounts their fun experience at a clothing shop, florist, and orphanage. Cecilia thanks him for escorting her home. In the end, Yuki realizes the date went well, but left them feeling a bit awkward. He shares the experience with Duke, who feels satisfied. The Duke comments that all the effort was worth it, confusing Yuki. He asks the Duke to explain, and to his surprise, the Duke reveals that he orchestrated the entire date course. This revelation confuses Yuki, prompting him to ask for clarification. The Duke explains that he planned their visits. He had researched activities that Cecilia might enjoy and intentionally led Yuki there. The Duke had even investigated the routes the people from the orphanage would take, ensuring their encounter wasn't a coincidence. Yuki finds this level of calculation terrifying. Yuki asks about his date, and the Duke reveals that they simply went to random places together. He explains that Irene has knowledge about medicine and enjoys compounding medicines at the pharmacy. Duke had a basic understanding of medicine thanks to Sik. In addition, they watched a Kenjutsu dojo match and competed in horseback archery. Yuki marvels at the Duke's efforts. However, the Duke clarifies that instead of explaining everything beforehand, he wanted Yuki to experience it firsthand. Leaving Yuki to contemplate Duke's manipulation, he realizes he must do better next time. In the bustling cake shop, Yuki embarks on a mission to create a special treat for Cecilia. Determined, he skillfully crafts delectable sweets. As Cecilia surprised him with homemade cake and cookies, igniting his desire to reciprocate with something he has made himself. Doubts plague Yuki, for he has never attempted such confections. Overwhelmed by the challenge, he seeks Amy's aid in mastering the art of sweet making. Grateful for her dedicated week-long guidance after closing hours, Yuki expresses his heartfelt thanks to Amy. On the other hand, Andre is also engrossed in his own sweet-making endeavor. Both Yuki and Amy are awestruck when Andre reveals his marvelous creation. Expressing gratitude towards his sister for her guidance and care, Andre beams with pride. As Yuki returns home, brimming with excitement for the next day, his friend appears, inquiring about his intentions. Apologizing for the potential disturbance, Yuki enlightens his friend about White Day and suggests a gift within his capabilities. With the night drawing to a close, Yuki eagerly awaits the day ahead, yearning to present Cecilia with his heartfelt offering. Overwhelmed by joy, Cecilia praises him, causing Yuki's cheeks to flush. Suddenly, Yuga bursts in, claiming to have something for Cecilia. This angers Yuki, believing that Yuga should have knocked first. Cecilia advises caution to Yuga, and he offers his apologies. Yuga confronts Yuki, questioning his early morning presence in Cecilia's room. As it happens to be White Day, Yuga has arrived to present Cecilia with a gift. Due to Cecilia's generous distribution of sweets on Valentine's Day, various peculiar individuals have flocked to be the first to give her the presents. Even Makana is among them. Makana reveals a past incident on Valentine's Day when they caused a citywide panic, subsequently resolved by the knights. To ensure preparedness this time, Makana requested the swordsman to bring some knights to the venue. As Yuga bestows his present upon Cecilia, Yuki can't help but feel a pang of jealousy. However, Makana advises leaving the couple alone to enjoy their moment. Yuki wonders if it doesn't bother her, but she prefers not to intrude. Later, Yuga surprises Makana with a present as a token of appreciation for taking care of him, a dress he found in the market. Little did Yuga know, the dress is typically worn by female magicians from foreign countries. After their exchange, both Yuga and Makana depart. Meanwhile, Yuki informs Cecilia about Guy's intentions to give something in return to Teal-chan. Intrigued, Yuki suggests returning to his room and invites Cecilia to join him. Upon entering, Yuki is furious to witness Guy touching a girl. However, Cecilia intervenes, revealing that Yuki misunderstood the situation. Guy forcefully escorts them out of the room, and Cecilia suggests they head back to the mansion. On their way, they decide to make a quick stop at Krymen to see if Sophia left anything there. The lady in charge warmly welcomes them, and Cecilia and Yuki are amazed by the abundance of cookies. The lady reveals that her husband, with the help of Shikigami, gave her these cookies as a White Day present, explaining the quantity. As they leave, Celine reminisces about how Ski also gave her mother a gift on White Day. Yuki wonders aloud what he can give, just being a kid. Cecilia informs him that he gifted her blended herbal tea, renowned for relieving stiff shoulders and promoting beauty. Yuki suddenly realizes that he is not an ordinary child. Feeling content with how White Day is progressing, Yuki suddenly remembers that he's forgotten something. He suggests they bring Happiness to Raven. Upon arriving at the venue, Yuki inquires about Raven's whereabouts, but the knights guarding the area inform him that Raven is already inside and brought Happiness along. Cecilia approaches Yuki and reveals that Raven met Happiness during his final security check and gave her a White Day present. Happiness is uncertain whether she should open it or not. Furious, Yuki exclaims these two individuals remain unchanged. Yuki eagerly awaits the arrival of someone, and Raven appears. The encounter brings a smile to his face, and he reveals that he has also invited Happiness to join them. Excitedly, Yuki shares his plan for the three of them to spend time together. Unfortunately, Duke and Cecilia are unable to join due to prior commitments, leaving Yuki feeling like a third wheel. As they prepare to depart, Yuki suddenly halts, stating they are waiting for another person. Raven assumes it is Cecilia, as Duke has not requested time off. However, when Happiness finally arrives, Raven becomes perplexed. It turns out that her arrival signals the beginning of a quest. Yuki explains that although Happiness isn't as powerful as Duke, she possesses combat skills from her time as a former subordinate. In battle, she relies on her feathers and magic, which are formidable but diminished without her feathers. Raven apologizes for underestimating Happiness, and Yuki sees this as an opportunity for them to deepen their bond. Both of them apologize to Happiness for making her wait, and they contemplate whether to split the cost of the carriage. Happiness offers to pay, but Raven insists on taking care of it. As Raven departs momentarily, Yuki compliments Happiness on her dress, and curiously inquires about the designs adorning it. She then reveals that the patterns conceal her hidden weapons. Yuki is awestruck by the impressive weaponry of Happiness's ravens. As they continue their journey, they finally arrive at their intended destination. Realizing they need a base, they decide to search for an inn. While Raven begins jotting down notes, Yuki proposes that he scout for the inn instead. Both of them begrudgingly acknowledge the need to improve their communication skills since they have dropped their belongings. They then turn their attention to discussing the quest at hand. Neither of them seems keen on initiating the conversation, leaving Yuki feeling as though he will be the one doing all the talking. He reveals that their client is the mayor of Freemer, and the task involves resolving theft cases plaguing merchant ships. Raven speculates that the thieves are likely pirates, deducing this from a bulletin board they encountered earlier. He also mentions having accepted a similar quest during his previous travels, where he gathers information to uncover a pirate hideout. Yuki, however, interjects, eager to provide additional details. He explains that they can't be certain if the culprits are indeed pirates. The money and goods mysteriously vanish while everyone is asleep on the ships. Raven finds it peculiar that no one notices any suspicious activity, as there would typically be crew members keeping watch. This leads to their current suspicion being directed towards the sailors rather than the pirates. Adding to the intrigue, Yuki theorizes that the entire crew might be colluding to steal the money and goods, although this is mere speculation. Wanting to make progress, Yuki suggests they split up. He plans to consult the merchant guildmaster for more information, while Raven and Happiness will speak to the crew members. Yuki believes that by shortening the distance between them, their teamwork will flourish. In the back of his mind, Yuki thinks about setting up a date for Raven and Happiness once the quest is complete. Meanwhile, Raven and Happiness begin their information gathering by questioning various individuals. To their dismay, one crew member underestimates their abilities, which ignites Raven's fury, revealing his true prowess. Realizing the situation is stagnant, Yuki discreetly observes from a distance, contemplating their next move. Yuki couldn't resist meddling in their conversation. The curious guy at the helm turns and asks, who is he? Yuki takes this as his cue and confidently introduces himself as Raven and Happiness. However, amidst the banter, he suddenly realizes he hasn't met him first. Why is he the one introducing himself? The guy, known as Masa, reveals his identity as a sailor. Flexing his muscles, he unwittingly triggers a memory in Yuki. Interrupting Yuki's talk of quests, Masa can't help but inquire about his fascination with his own physique. Are you going to ignore the appeal of my muscles? Yuki apologizes, confessing that he has met others with similarly brawny bodies, but then he shifts the conversation towards the quest. Expressing gratitude for accepting the quest, Masa explains that they are now being treated like criminals since the cargo has gone missing. Nobody believes in their innocence, and if things continue like this, they will all be branded as petty thieves. Masa admits it's a sorry state for men of the sea, and everyone is consumed by anxiety. He pleads, "You've got to believe me, we didn't steal anything." With no other choice, Masa has to fulfill his duties. Determined to resolve the matter, the gang assures him that feeling anxious when falsely suspected is only natural. They are only there to help find a solution. Yuki calls upon the sailors, urging them to assist in their quest for truth. Let's get to the bottom of this, even if we have to turn every page inside out. And so, they gather in a corner, determined to gather information. The search stretches into an entire day, but finally Yuki's memory kicks in. Pointing out the gathered information, it becomes apparent that both sources are nearly identical. Happiness commends Raven for his outstanding work, recognizing his dedication. Happiness brings them both refreshing cups of tea. Raven continues the discussion about the quest, sharing the information they gathered. He suspects that monsters are involved, as those affected claim their memories became blurry after hearing a captivating singing voice. Deep in thought, both Raven and Yuki ponder the possibility of mermaids existing in this world. Yuki interjects with a question, sparking their curiosity further. Raven discloses another vital piece of information. Someone claimed to have witnessed a mermaid in a nearby cove. This revelation surprises the group, especially since the informant reported seeing the mermaid accompanied by a large amount of luggage. Skeptical, Yuki questions the convenience of this man's information. Raven acknowledges the suspicion, but insists on investigating. They collectively decide to explore the cove the following day, eager to uncover the truth. As the dawn breaks, they arrive at the cove, only to find a trail of scattered boxes. It becomes clear that something valuable has been stolen. The atmosphere grows tense as they contemplate the possible presence of the elusive creature. Suddenly, without warning, a breathtaking mermaid bursts out of the water. Our heroes find themselves in a dire situation when they encounter a mesmerizing mermaid whose song has the power to enchant and bewilder anyone who hears it. To make matters worse, they are unable to fight back with their hands clamped over their ears to shield themselves from the captivating melody. Yuki, one of our protagonists, confesses that he can't completely block out the mermaid's song. Just when all hope seems lost, a surprising revelation emerges. However, Happiness steps forward, belting out a song of her own. Her melodious voice intertwines with the mermaid's enchanting melody, creating a counterbalance that weakens the mermaid's control. Despite feeling a bit dizzy from the lingering effect of the mermaid's song, Yuki notices something extraordinary. His comrade, Raven, remains unaffected and moves with remarkable agility. Curiosity grips Yuki's mind as he realizes that Raven might possess the unique ability to hear only the voice of his beloved. It becomes clear that love holds the key. Seizing the opportune moment, our heroes instruct Happiness to cease her singing. With renewed determination, they bravely confront the mesmerizing mermaid. To everyone's astonishment, Happiness steps forward, materializing before the mermaid. Yuki and Raven are left awestruck as Happiness, against all odds, positions herself as the mermaid's protector. With Happiness standing as the mermaid's shield and a mysterious connection between them, the stage is set for an epic confrontation. What fate awaits our heroes in the face of this enigma? As the story unfolds and the mysteries deepen, make sure to stay tuned and subscribe to our channel for the thrilling upcoming chapters, where all the unanswered questions will be finally revealed.